Thanks. So what does a high land footprint translate into? Well, at present the world has got about 30 million hectares of land were used to grow crops for biofuels. That's liquid biofuels in 2011. But biofuels still only accounted for 2.7% of global transport fuel. So it means there's a massive disconnect between the area of land and the impacts on the one hand, and the absolutely minute amount of energy gain from it. Second example, drugs in the UK is of course burning 1.5 times as much wood a year as the UK produces annually. That would be with the rest half of drugs units being converted to biomass, which they committed to. They are even thinking of burning even more than that, possibly. But if that happened, if they reached that level of 1/2 of drugs' capacity, then we would get about, I calculated, about 4.6% of our current electricity demand met from burning 1.5 times the UK's wood supply. But if you look at it in terms of total energy used, not just electricity, but electricity, heat, fuel, transport fuel, it's only 0.9% of the UK's energy demand. So this amount of wood burning would meet less than 1% of the UK's energy demand. And they should add to it that drugs is more efficient, burns biomass more efficient than any other electricity-only power station does in the world, probably. There is nothing more efficient. Okay?
The 30 million hectares, I don't know how large that is. It doesn't mean very much to me.
How many football pitches?
How many counties?
Yeah.
It's bigger than the UK.
No.
UK is about 24 million hectares.
Okay, that's great.
One football pitch is 1 hectare, so it's 30 million football pitches.
Yeah, well, that means
Thank
next
you.
to nothing to me.
Yes, but the indirect impact of bioenergy are even greater than that. And here's, and I'm sorry for the quality, for it didn't copy as nicely as it looked. This is from the Friends of the Earth Europe example of what they refer to as indirect land use change, ILUC abbreviated, indirect land use change, and they've taken an example of soya, biofuels, biodiesel made from soya. Soya has been the main non-waste biofuel feedstock, it's an imported feedstock in the UK as well. Anyway, so what they have is biodiesel from soya. Growing means that there's a growing demand for soy worldwide. Soy currently used for cooking oil is diverted to biodiesel. Then more palm oil is required as cooking oil to make up for the rapeseed and soya. And because the food industry, the chemical industry isn't getting the soya and the rapeseed oil anymore, so they want palm oil instead. And then forest in Southeast Asia is cleared from palm oil plantations as a result of the demand for soya going up. On top of which, forests, as we'll see in the next bit, is also cleared for soya elsewhere. So that's indirect land use change. So if you had here, if the soya is supplied comes from forests being chopped down in, say, Paraguay, then that's direct land use change for biofuels. But if it's indirect, if it comes from somewhere, say the US soya being turned into biodiesel, and as a result the other customers of that US soya then buy palm oil, then that's indirect land use change. Does that make sense?
The one thing I have not clear, the soya is used not only just to extract things for food, like milk and
feed as well.
It's also used as biofuel for cars.
Yes, soya. Soya is one of the main feedstocks for biodiesel for cars.
But grown where? In the USA or in the American?
The majority of what we use in Europe comes from Argentina, of the soya biodiesel. From Argentina.
From Paraguay too, then?
A bit from Paraguay, but a lot from Argentina. Mainly from Argentina is the biggest supplier.
Now I understand.
Paraguay's growing a lot though.
Oh yeah, they're growing heaps. In Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil. I'm doing soya next, right? So we're getting on soya, don't worry.
But I'm afraid I want to clarify one thing. In Paraguay, it's not only the Paraguayan government, the Paraguayan, I don't know, who are in power, who grow the soya. There are also a lot of people coming from Brazil who are buying land And they cut all the trees, these people, obviously powerful people who have a lot of money, and they grow soya too.
Yeah.
So the whole of the northern part of Paraguay, that it used to be forest when I was a kid, and we used to go to see the Iguazu Fall. The last time I went, such a desolation, there are no trees anymore. So if you want to see trees, you have to go and plant it and wait a few years to see them. But there is nothing.
Was it the Chaco forest?
In the Chaco?
Yeah, the north of.
No. The Chaco is a bit like the Mexican desert, but the Mennonites went there, and the area where they live, they grow a lot of trees, and some areas are very nice, but the whole of the Chaco is not forest, no. The part that it was the forest is going towards the Iguazu Fall, all that area. It was full of trees. That if you travel at night and I don't know, your car went wrong or whatever, the bus, you slept there, you could hear the birds and the animals that live at night, and it was a bit scary when you are a child, but it was full of trees. Full.
So sad, yeah.
Nothing now. Just soya, and soya.
I think Almuth's about to talk about soya in the next slide.
Well, so my question from this one is, but it's awful to have that example, but so this is really important, because a lot of what the other NGOs are speaking about is that if we can address indirect land use change by incorporating a factor for this displacement into the carbon accounting for biofuels, that way we're going to sort out the problem with biofuels. All the big NGO campaigns' main focus has been on accounting and scientifically accounting for all the direct and the indirect emissions of bioenergy. And if you look carefully at the alerts that are coming out from NGOs, and there's a certain logic behind that, right? This looks really like a thing to do. But I want to explore whether that really is the full answer, or whether it's actually more complicated than that. So next, please. Now this is a picture that I found again that we used to have up on our title page of our website, but we only had one picture of it on it at the time. And it was in 2005, and it was NASA images of fires in the southeast Amazon, those fire hotspots. Unfortunately, for many different years, you get similar satellite NASA images of these massive fires in the Amazon, which are all they're all sun controlled, and many out of control land clearance fires. Many of them at the time would have been set to clear land for soya, also for cattle ranching, but a lot in 2005, a lot would have been for soya, land clearance for soya. And right, next slide. So we all know the importance of the Amazon to the world's climate, or at least the fact that it is pretty big, pretty major concern. So back when we were starting in Biofuelwatch, Deepak and I were, one of our main focus was really warning people and showing to people that there was a really high likelihood of the growing demand for biofuels, accelerating the deforestation of the Amazon. Why did we feel that we could say that? We could say that because there was a peer-reviewed study by NASA scientists showing that for the period really the first half of that decade, from 2001 to 2005, the deforestation rates in those states with the highest Amazon deforestation, the Brazilian states with the highest Amazon deforestation, correlated directly with the price of soya, and biofuels were starting, and subsequently that escalated. Biofuels were pushing up the price of soya, as well as the price of other agricultural commodities. And it's been shown since that the impact which biofuels have had on global agricultural commodity prices has been bigger than anyone had expected. That's been absolutely sadly proven to be even more true than we feared, that they would push up food prices and soya prices, commodity prices. So what we really thought was that there was a really, this was really a case of predicting indirect land use change impacts. Indirect, why am I saying indirect? Because it wasn't just the demand for soya biofuel, but there were other studies that showed that one of the big drivers that pushed up soya prices was a demand for corn ethanol in the US, because it was so lucrative to grow corn in the US that soya farmers would instead grow corn. They wouldn't grow so much soya in the US, and they're sourcing more and more from Brazil. Right? That's why it's a really clear example of indirect land use change. So, next one.
Can I just ask you a very quick question? It's a bit of a tricky question, possibly, I don't know. You got this sort of direct correlation between, in 2001 to 2005, of deforestation rates and the rising soya prices. That's quite peculiar in a sense, and it makes me wonder whether possibly the market might have been rigged.
It was not in the whole Amazon, it was in the states with the highest, with the highest deforestation rates at the time was State of Mato Grosso, especially, which had the highest deforestation rates, the highest soya, the biggest soya states. Anyway, that's